So, talk about the series of photos that I have exhibited. So it's titled The Bowl. And it was kind of based on memories of sitting on a stool in the kitchen with my dad. My dad was the hairdresser. He called it the cowboy at the time. It was the fringe, the kind of sloping hair, and I had this up until secondary school where I took control of my hair and I wanted to grow it out and remove the fringe, and that was my way of kind of rebelling, I guess, to be fringeless. And it was as I got older that it was embracing that bowl again, and reclaiming it and making it mine. So it's something that I feel as I've reached into my 30s, and maybe it's having children, and it's saying you can have fun with hair. I've never dyed my hair. It's always been, I've always cut my hair, my own hair, and maybe it's the lack of trust from having family members who are hairdressers. But recently I have found somebody who I do trust, and maybe once a year I would get something drastically done. Um, and that was kind of that marker for me. Was, I think it was just after the pandemic, after lockdown, that I decided I do want to do something quite drastic. I want to own this bowl and reclaim it um as mine in a quite I guess a more stylized version of what I used to have when I was younger. There are pictures of going back to when I was younger. There was pictures of myself, my older sister, and my younger sister, and then my cousin as well, and we all had that same hairstyle. And I think that hairstyle is very recognizable for Southeast Asian children growing up. I can imagine that most people will have a photo of them with that particular hairstyle, and yeah, to honor it for the exhibition about hair, because it I think it does kind of hold a quite significant childhood memory for us. It was quite a candid in the bathroom, and it was just, I just wanted to have a quick snapshot of, just to kind of capture it in an image, and I didn't really think about it at the time. And it wasn't anything, it wasn't work. And since then I have documented, because 2 years ago I shaved my hair off and gave myself a buzz cut for the first time, and it was really liberating. And I documented that, and it's just become this, I suppose, this series of something that I know I can look back on and reflect on. That, I don't know, for somebody who doesn't really play around with makeup, with anything, to be able to let go about hair, because hair, it can grow back, it can be changeable, and to just be quite experimental with it. Should also be a bit of history. I used to hate the fact that I had straight hair. For a good, I would say 8 years, I used to curl it. I used to get curling tong. I remember when I went to Vietnam for the first time as well. I still did not like. Obviously couldn't bring a curling tong with me. I used to curl my hair before going to sleep, because I just absolutely hated having straight hair, and I just felt, and it's also actually, maybe it's something to do with how society has changed, and that kind of goes back to kind of the stereotypical Western view of myself as a Southeast Asian. I recently did an event for International Women's Day, and we're talking about growing up, how it, the Western society's perception of Southeast Asian women was completely different growing up. You were kind of hypersexualized, and then kind of as, yeah, and you could see how it's changed, it's shifted, and maybe it's more about me being comfortable with who I am and myself, and kind of embracing more of my culture and not, yeah, trying to find my place within myself as a first generation Vietnamese immigrant, kind of navigating in a Western society, I guess. There's a lot to unpick, I find. And I think as last year I lost my sponsor, my parents' sponsor. So she sponsored my parents when they came here from Vietnam to England, and I also lost my grandfather, so the last of that generation. And in doing that as well, it was clearing out my grandparents' home in Southampton, and that's a lot. That they lived there for over 40 years, so it was kind of uncovering a lot of things. And as I start to lose touch with more of my heritage, I am finding ways of trying to reclaim that back, for me and for my children. Yeah, I think the photos and the caption kind of done in a way that it does hark. It's to make people smile and think back to their childhood, and I think that what their memory of their kind of relationship with their hair, and to reflect on how they feel about it now, I would hope, because how we, even just us talking about it, it has allowed me to do that. Maybe completely gone off tangents, but it's a starting point, a conversation. It actually, when I originally took the photo, it wasn't meant to be put up an exhibition. That wasn't the intent. It was just meant to be as a kind of almost like a timestamp, uh, something that I could reflect back on, rather than it being exhibited or observed by other people. So there is a kind of, I suppose, because the way it's shot in my bathroom. It's not, and it is just a quick snapshot. There was no planning or foresight to it, I suppose. So yeah, that has changed. But the fact that it is being exhibited as part of a collection of amazing stories, amazing photos. It does make me feel empowered to talk about my experiences. I don't normally, I would never really have thought, for me, hair was something that affected me, actually, or something that was but actually, as we've been covered through this conversation, there are significant moments where my hair and my thoughts about my hair has impacted me. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I kind of, until there was the court, I'd never really thought about my hair in that way, or that there was um a story about it, or how it had impacted me. And it's not really, yeah, like, it's not a conversation I've actually really had with other people about. But I've had comments about my hair a lot, but not necessarily a negative way. It's whether have I dyed it, um because it's so black. How do I cut my fringe? The fact that my hair is so straight that everything is done. It's And I think people are fascinated by my hair, but because of, maybe, I'm not really sure why, but it's, I guess, for me, Asian hair I find difficult, and I know now maybe it's become well, no, it has been for a while, where Eastern culture has been kind of, it's been quite fashionable. People look to, but I find, because Asian hair can be quite difficult to cut, and people don't understand that it is because of it grows differently, and that's been a process as well that I didn't realize. So my current hairdresser, she's Japanese. Prior to that, I didn't know that that's something I researched as well, as to why people cut it a different way and it ends up looking, not how I want it.